anybody who turns on the news at any point in time in the last, I would say 5 years, but most particularly probably in the last three, has been able to kind of witness the impact that all of these different types of technologies that have come around recently through mobile computing or social networks, or you can pick a whole bunch of different types of technology, can see that there are some real issues in terms of the application of these technologies and then the ramifications of them that may not have been anticipated, when they were created. Somebody who, let's say, created a social network, we're trying to get people together, or perhaps, get people more connected in some sort of way. And that was like the optimistic kind of purpose, perhaps, for some of these things. I'm not sure that anybody really at the time thought or asked about, well, what are some of the things that could be, harmful about getting people together in this kind of virtual space and connected?
The question isn't really why does technology need ethics? Technology is a tool of human beings, and human beings need ethics, and therefore, logically, so does technology. And traditionally, we have always sort of used ethics as a guide for our actions and our behavior, and seemingly over the last several decades, technology is often not subjected to those same kinds of ethical considerations. And it's interesting to sort of think about why now, especially, it's becoming obvious that technology should be subjected to the same kind of ethical considerations that apply to moral behavior and actions.
The problem we are trying to solve is that computer science, which is like at the core of this transformation of digital technology, it's a relatively new science. And during the last 3 decades, computer scientists have been trained to learn how to create very efficient software and hardware components. So the emphasis is on how to. And in many cases, it's being detached from the question, why? Why should we create these technologies? So in a certain sense, what we have been experiencing nowadays with social media and social networks is the awareness that what we do has real world repercussions. It may impact social systems, democratic systems, and things like that. So more and more, we see that we have to integrate ethics into computer science, into new technologies development. And that's the objective of this project.
Sort of think about why is it that social media, for example, was able to create so many sources of disinformation. And I think one of the reasons is because the novelty of social media and the incredibly quick pace of the technology that developed to support social media platforms made it really hard to kind of slow down and think about the long-term implications of using a technology like that for communicating ideas.
The kind of problem that we're trying to solve right now through the Responsible Computing Science Challenge, through Mozilla and the funding that we've gotten on this Computing Ethics Narratives project, is giving students a much more interdisciplinary way to approach these what if kinds of problems, because they're going to be confronted with them all the time as they go out into the workforce, whether it's through research or whether it's through product development or whether it's through database management practices or software engineering. All of these types of what if questions actually should be at play all the time, but because computer scientists are not necessarily trained to say, who is creating this project or this product or technology? For whom are they creating it for? Is it for people like them? Is it for people that they know something about? Is it for people that they don't know anything about? Is it benefiting? right? Who is this technology designed to benefit? And perhaps who is this technology or type of technologies that are used together, perhaps exploiting, whether intentionally or unintentionally. And then what are the known positive kinds of benefits of this type of technology? And what if this technology was used in ways that it wasn't intended? What are the potential harms that it could cause to the users that we anticipate, and maybe people that we haven't really thought deeply about how this might impact other communities, other individuals, other societies, those kinds of things. How could this be used in ways that we hadn't originally intended?
One of the goals of the Computing Ethics Narratives Project has really been to make it as easy as possible for computer science faculty to tackle this subject in a way that doesn't feel like it is their job to tell students that a particular application of technology is proper or unethical, but rather to develop what we call an ethical sensibility in students.
We try to, with the CEN project, we try to create narratives or to expose students to narratives that involve digital technologies as quasi characters in which they get into the context of our lives and they transform our lives. And with that, we want students to pause and say, oh my goodness, should I do that? How should I do that in order to maximize positive impacts and minimize negative ones? It's really impressive to see how this question is foreign to some of our computer science students, because there's this huge emphasis on how we do and not too much on why we do that.
We believe that storytelling is a crucial way to help people work through problems or think through issues. So what's unique about our approach is that we've created a repository with literally hundreds of moving image clips from feature films, from series, popular series such as Black Mirror, Humans, Devs, and these have all been carefully curated by faculty in cinema studies and students with training to do this kind of work. And they've been annotated with information that's really helpful to computer science instructors who are looking, for example, for a way to talk about predictive policing or a way to talk about algorithmic bias. And that's unique in the sense that we have created this repository, and anybody who is interested in using it for the purposes of teaching can have access to the clips, along with literature. We've also collected TED Talks and other exciting things.
And this is so important because so far what we have been seeing is that there is an isolated ethics discipline within the computer science course. It's isolated. It's not connected to the detailed problem of each discipline. With this library of narratives, we offer instructors the possibility of integrate this contextual and ethical discussion into each discipline of the computer science curriculum.
And so the outcome that we would like to see is taking those intro students that then move through the computer science curriculum. And at every stage, no matter what they're studying, data structures, algorithms, machine learning, human-computer interaction, that at each stage, they're being asked to think about these questions about, who is this technology for? Who is it benefiting? Who is it perhaps exploiting? How can it be used for positive? How might it be used for really harmful impacts? And then how does that influence your design decisions that you make, right? And how, why are you responsible for at least thinking about these questions and trying to answer them when you get to the point where you're writing your honors thesis on this major project that you've just done, or an independent study, that you expect somebody to be asking you these questions, and you have you've at least formulated answers to respond to them in a way that shows that you understand why you need to ask these questions, and that our outcome is hopefully that we can evaluate how that happens over time with this constant kind of longitudinal attention paid to these types of ethical questions around the creation of technology.